All right, welcome to RUSHCAST episode 2, and today we're joined by Jeremey Chater. Jeremy, how you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, guys, for inviting me on.
And thank you so much for coming. It's great to have you.
Yeah, man, you're the second guest, so you're in a pretty prestigious club. Hopefully, as time goes on,
building up the catalog.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, man. Yeah. And you're looking pretty fresh right now. You got
Thank you. Just got my fresh Fade Masters. Shout out Trobiz.
Oh yeah. Fairview.
Yeah.
That's my stomping area. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, nice,
grew up, grown and raised there. Born in Dartmouth, but raised in Fairview. So, I know a lot about Fairview. I go to Cush's Quality Cuts.
Okay,
kind of right beside
across the street or something, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. But I've been going there for a couple of years. I went to Trobiz a couple times.
Yeah.
Great.
It's always like weird experience going there too, because he always has like either like podcasts on the go or some kind of like motivational speaker.
Yeah.
And today he was like, I got something specific for you. And he put on The Creative Act by Ruben something. I forget the author's name, but it was just basically about exactly what you're doing and exactly what I like to do is content creating and how to manipulate yourself through content creation. And to like kind of just, alienate creating stuff for other people and really just isolating creating something for yourself. And so like listening to that throughout the whole time, getting my hair cut, I was like, man, like it's weird how the universe works in ways like this, because this is exactly, I was like, man, I'm coming onto a podcast to speak about this kind of stuff today. Like, how do you always know what to put on when I'm here?
It was like the ideal content for you to consume prior to doing something like this. Yeah, man. Well, you could tell us a little bit about that. So obviously you're a chef. So actually we'll start there. Like, so how did you get into being a chef, cooking? I know that I think your father was a chef as well. I saw that in one of your videos.
Yeah, he was. And, just always growing up with my grandmother, being Lebanese and having that just fresh ingredients and cuisine and the sense of always having, dinner at the table together, family gatherings, being surrounded by food, nitpicking here and there, then a dining and then drinks and then snacks and kind of, it's just something that I've always enjoyed. Like I enjoy hosting. I enjoy like cooking for people, just always creating a space where people can be surrounded by people that they love, enjoying good food. And that just kind of brings out a natural atmosphere in people and a natural like kind of emotion when people get talking. And it's just like, I don't know, open for discussion. Like people really just kind of open up in that way. Like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So like, that's kind of just how I got started, was that passion for that, to kind of create that space for people to have conversation, to have drink, to have good food.
Do you find, especially like as well, like if you have like a gathering, do you find it like you genuinely enjoy preparing the food for everybody and kind of like taking on that responsibility? If you have like, is there a balance? Like, do you find like you enjoy it more if you just go somewhere and they handle all of that and that kind of?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like
off?
I definitely do. There's a lot of stress leading into the event for sure. Like I call it an event, but a gathering or whatever. And then it's taking the time to step back and watching everybody enjoy the food, enjoy the company. That's the real joy of it. Like that's where I get the real joy of actually doing the event. Sure, there's some stress leading up. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of like time consumption. It's a lot of money too, with the grocery prices these days. Like hosting events like that can be a little pricey, but taking the time to step back and realize why I'm doing it and why I've done it for this long is really like, I always find that appreciation for it at the end of the day.
Especially in like when you get into like catering and like cooking, it's it all comes down to passion. Like that's what determines whether you do really well in it or not, because creativity is a big part in it. And you're bringing your creativity now into content creation. Mm-hmm. It's kind of another like way to kind of show yourself. So what brought you into like making that content creation side of things? Like,
well, I'd always just liked going outside and hiking, and then bringing my dogs along, and then we just kind of gradually started cooking outside, which it started off like a couple cheddar smokies on some sticks, and then we elevated to like a little grate, and now we're doing cast iron work and Dutch oven work and that kind of stuff. And I just kind of captured it on my stories, like just POV work, like real raw, like organic content, me like just slapping a steak into the pan, and people kind of reacted really well to it. So then I kind of considered doing it, on a little bit, like upping the production value a little bit more. And it just, I don't know, it received really well. It was something that I really enjoyed doing. So, and I think naturally when you're just organic and doing something that you love, people are going to want to enjoy it and want to like receive that content well.
You seem fairly comfortable in front of the camera as well, as if, you know, you had some like prior training, or it just comes very natural. Like,
Yeah,
what
it
was
took
it
some
like?
time.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, like, what was it like for you as someone who's, you know, obviously you're working in a kitchen, you need to be communicating with those around you to get the job done. So you're kind of used to being vocal by nature, I would
Right.
imagine. But like, was there a bit of any kind of like hurdles you had to overcome to get comfortable in front of the camera, or did it come relatively easy?
There was for sure. Initially, you know, going outside, there wasn't as much production and like we weren't rocking 3 cameras and a bunch of lights and all this kind of stuff. And then we kind of transitioned to doing some indoor like instructional type videos where we would create a dish, really walk you through the steps of it all. And that's when the lights, the cameras, and everything really started to come in. And I was just like, you know, froze at first. Like, it was really hard to kind of try to be myself, you know? I felt like I needed to act a little more, or like I needed to, I don't know, just the way it was, it didn't feel natural at first. That's for sure. It definitely took some time to get comfortable in it. Definitely.
Would you say you're still working on it now, or do you feel like you've
Yeah,
found
all
your-
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it never really goes away.
Even
I
in
guess.
this moment right
Yeah,
here?
100% in this moment. Yeah, 100%. But
Oh, there's always that little bit of stage fright, like when the cameras go on, that
Yeah.
red light goes on the cameras or whatever, the lights are on.
Yeah.
You know, like your stomach almost drops a bit. Like, I know what you mean. Even, like,
It takes a while to get used to, man.
It does.
it does, yeah.
I mean, even right now when we're like, oh, we're going, like, shit, okay, how do I talk? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
exactly, man. Your stomach drops. You get the butterflies, and it's like, you know,
Yeah.
how do I act in front of the camera? You
Yeah,
know? You feel
exactly.
like you're supposed to act some sort of way, but
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like that it comes the most natural when you're just being yourself. I feel like
Yeah. That's what I
sometimes you
mean,
gotta like
yeah.
convince yourself these lights aren't here, this
Yeah.
microphone isn't here.
Yeah.
What would we be talking about if we just sat down?
Yeah, and I guess that was the learning curve for me, was to kind of try to just, again, you know, the whole reason why I pushed to start doing this content was because people reacted well to me being myself, my goofy self. And like, you know, so I watched back on these videos where I felt like I wasn't being myself. I walked away from the set being like, I didn't like that. Like, I didn't feel like I actually provided like the content that people were used to. You know, like I felt like I changed in a way that wasn't for the best. And so then we kind of just peeled back on doing that a little bit more, and then got just, I don't know, going out into the woods, doing my thing, doing what I love.
And would you still put that content out? Like, would there ever be, was there ever a
Yeah.
period where you went out, you filmed something, and then afterwards you thought to yourself, I don't know if this might be the best thing to put out?
There was a few videos that I definitely didn't like, that I didn't share, that when, you know, I had a partner at a time that was shooting like little reels with me, and a lot of those felt acted. You know, a lot of them felt acted. And the whole thing, and the whole reason why I love doing what I do, is because I genuinely like going outside to cook. You know, like and my videographer, Jordan, shout out Jordan, he really loves to capture those moments. And that's why me and him clicked so well together, was because he's like, it's so easy to film you when you're outside doing your thing, being yourself, because it just creates great content. So there definitely was a couple videos that I didn't really like, because they felt acted and they didn't feel natural or organic in any kind of way.
yeah, like speaking on that, like the for the one with the venison stew
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
Instagram, that we like watched almost
Yeah.
right before
Yeah.
watching this as almost like re-up on your content.
Yeah.
And that was like the video work along with like your being so natural on
Yeah,
camera, like
yeah.
it worked. What, especially with it being in the woods, like what's a preparation like that for, you know? Like,
Yeah, that took probably like 4 hours to film that video. Yeah. You know, at first it was definitely hard because it was snowing that day, so a lot of the wood in the woods was wet. We only showed up with a small bag of kindling, which was only to get the fire started before we could actually, like, you know, rip down some branches and get the thing going. But other than that, it's, you know, planning the meal ahead of time, having a little bit of prep, but we still want the camera work of chopping outside, that ASMR kind of type video and stuff. And other than that, it's really just kind of packing a bag and going and doing it. That's, you know, I kind of, like I said, stray away from the planning of it, when going back to my roots of when I used to just shoot those POV videos on my iPhone 6.
But it's interesting to see too, like how progression happens so organically over time. Like it starts
Right.
out with you being like, I think I'm doing something that might be entertaining to the people that follow me. Let me start filming it on my phone.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna take it serious enough to get someone to maybe come along with me one day and help me out.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna plan out a video. Now it's
Yeah.
gonna get better. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
put more time into it. And now I'm interviewing cooks, other chefs at
Yeah.
restaurants and whatnot. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about that series, the last post that you did? Now you're starting to go into other locations and speak with other chefs about how, you know, they design their menu and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's more so just trying to highlight like chefs in Halifax, and as chefs and cooks, a lot of people are like stuck in the back. They're in the kitchen. No, not a lot of them have highlights in that regard. The restaurant, the name of the restaurant gets a lot of the face of all the content or the page or anything like that. So going in and actually showing people like what kind of work goes in behind it, or who the people are behind the menu, and talking about their stories and how they came to these menu items, what their favorite menu items are, I feel like really just kind of brings people, like, it makes them want to go to the restaurant a little bit more for a different reason too, and it kind of is just lightening up the food scene in Halifax a little bit. It's something that's kind of my goal anyways with it.
Exactly, definitely. Halifax has like, it has very like different food scene. We have everything from like the donaires, which don't appear anywhere else in the world. There's the arrows from Greek and all that, but like that's a whole different wrap. Donaires are different, and like lobster. We have a lot of lobster around. It's very plentiful here, and Nova Scotia's got very like fish based and all that. Like it's nice to see like someone going to like the restaurants around here and seeing where those dishes came from, why you're doing them, and
the just showcasing the chef.
Exactly,
and the people behind the scenes for sure.
Exactly, there's lots of creativity with it. Like,
if you tell us a little bit about as well, like, how did you get into the food industry? Is this something you did like right out of high school? Did you take any kind of like post-secondary training for it, or was it just kind of like always in your life?
Yeah, I mean, like I started getting involved. Like at first, I wanted to be an accountant right out of high school. Yeah,
I can see that, bro. Yeah, you kind of look like an accountant that got the day off right now. Like.
Math was just something that kind of numbers just really clicked naturally with me, and it was just kind of made sense. Out of high school, who knows what they really want to do? It would just seem feasible, something that made money, like. And then I landed my first cooking job, and it just really ran from there. Working with fresh ingredients, working with raw produce, creating things from scratch. Like I learned how to use a knife for the first time, and it really, I don't know, like I guess it was something that just inherently came naturally.
Did you say you learned like most of what you know now while on the job?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I never went to culinary school or anything like that. I learned it like raw dog in the industry.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, man, because I've always been curious about that, because I have a buddy of mine who's a cook, and he works in a kitchen as well, and like he never went to culinary school or anything like that, but I know that he has worked alongside people that did go to culinary school, and now they're working with him. So it's kind of, I guess it's the same thing with any type of creative industry as well. You could be self-taught and be just as good as somebody that went through school. Just people learn with different methods and whatnot. So that's quite interesting. So did you ever feel, I don't know, do you ever feel like any form of like imposter syndrome as well? Like just because you're working
all the time
and learning at the same time?
And don't get me wrong, like eventually I did end up going through my apprenticeship program through NSCC, which is like a condensed culinary program. So then you have your first block, second block, third block, and then you write your Red Seal test. So I did do that, which I thought I would probably I would have enjoyed more than doing the culinary program. Right. It was definitely like, the culinary program is 2 years long. It's a lot of like stretched out theory and stretched out like learning, when in the apprenticeship program, like we have 1 day on eggs, we have 1 day on vegetable cookery, we have 1 day on butchery. Like it's very, very condensed, and then at the end of it you just write like 100-page like multiple choice questions.
And that's one thing I've noticed with like NSCC and like college in general, compared to like I just came out of high school, and like like the difference between NSCC, there's like in college especially, like there's so many different paths you can take with how you want to learn, like your abilities to learn. I wasn't great in high school with like that classroom, like all that. So being hands on, and it's kind of given me that love for education again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I really liked it too, because I mean, man, I have a short attention span. So going one day to the next, and it being a different study each day was like, it kept me interested. It kept my creative juices flowing for sure.
Exactly. Right? Sitting on a subject, man, it's the worst. Like we've had that a little bit with a couple subjects. Not to name them out loud, not to put anyone on blast, but like. Yeah, we had that with a couple subjects where it was like we sat on a subject for so long, and it if you enjoy it, then it's great. But like, the repetition for me, it's something that I need to keep my mind going, and I need to keep learning. Yeah. It's a great part of the podcast. Like we keep learning from new people, but like
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the objective, is to kind of like learn with our audience,
Yeah.
with having different guests on and whatnot. So what are some of the places that you've worked at up until this point? I'm sure it's been quite a few. I know I remember when you were working at the Carlton, and
Yeah, quite a few. You know, like I found once I really was like, okay, I'm gonna cook. Like this is what I want to do. I struggled working at like shitty pubs and all these random restaurants, so I found myself bouncing around a lot because I took it a lot more serious than I found other people did. Right. You know, a lot of people like cook for a job, but I was cooking with these cooks when I was trying to take it serious. I was really trying to advance my career when these guys were just they were just there for the sake of getting a paycheck. So that was pretty tough. But I mean, like I worked cheese curds was my first cooking job. Working with Bill Pratt. Yeah, Shout out cheese curds. That's where I learned how to large scale production. I've seen a lot of equipment there that I still haven't seen in other restaurants to this day. Just working on like a mass scale like that was something that really helped. I still carry out through my career today. Finbars was another like kind of stepping stone. Gahan House, the Carlton. That's where I kind of found myself in my first sous chef role. And then I moved to Oxalis, and then that's kind of where I hit my breaking point as far as being involved in the rat race. It's tough, working so hard in an industry that is so demanding for such little pay and appreciation, like it's going to be a point when you're like, okay, how am I going to do this on my own? This isn't feasible. Like I need to live my life. I can't keep living this other person's life.
Yeah. I know a lot of people in the restaurant industry and they say that.
Yeah.
It's not something that.
So was that a point that you found yourself at recently as well?
I would have just left there in November.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So ever since then, you've been kind of jumping around from location to location.
That's where I started. Like we were in the mix of starting my content creation there, and they didn't appreciate any of it. They didn't want me to have a face of my own at all. They just wanted me to be completely absorbed in their restaurant and just kind of be their little robot. So I eventually actually ended up stepping down from my position in the mix of working there. And then,
so they didn't like the fact that you were putting yourself out there as an individual.
Yeah, and they didn't want me to represent the restaurant or anything in any kind of way.
But I can't see how that wouldn't be beneficial in a day and age where like every business owner wants to start a podcast themselves, and they see the benefits of like that free marketing and the attention that's on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. Why would they not want like their head chef or one of their top people in the kitchen to be out there making a name for themselves? If anything, that could make customers be like messaging you, where do you work? Well, here, I'm going to go out and
that was the thing, because I brought a lot of people in there, and oddly enough, they hired me through my Instagram. They messaged me on Instagram.
Where's this place?
Yeah.
Are we putting these guys on blast?
Yeah, we don't know. It doesn't even matter.
I'm telling you, though,
it's every time of day. So.
Oh yeah, Instagram's great though. Like look at Salt Bay, for example. Man.
Yeah,
built like a.
Is that the standard way of applying salt onto?
It's funny because the way that he does it is that it bounces off his forearm, so for proper it spreads. When it
like a little slide.
I feel like extra seasoning too.
Yeah.
But
damn Salt Bay.
Oh man, yeah, no, he's interesting. I saw. Remember the whole World Cup?
Yeah, he was
banned from the World Cup.
Yeah, he kind of shook that off. I feel like though.
Yeah. He had a field day that day.
He was having a blast. I didn't realize that he was still that popular and established, and I know he's established, but had that kind of relationship to be able to be on the field at the end of the whole tournament, taking it from the
I don't know if
players
that's what he.
I think he got fined, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he was allowed to be on the field though. I think that was part of the controversy. He was allowed to be on the field, and oh man,
shout out to Salt Bay.
Yeah. Who did he hug? Wasn't it
Messi? Yeah. Yeah, man. So when you what was the feedback originally like? Like, did you have people that you worked alongside that were like, oh, was it genuinely supportive? Like, obviously, whenever someone wants to, whenever somebody, steps out, myself, when I started putting out music when I was in high school, you always have a few people that kind of criticize you that they don't even know why. They're hating, but
maybe, but nobody ever said anything I guess once the quality of the videos started progressing, that's when people started saying, wow, they're getting a lot better than they used to be. Right. And I was like, that was kind of a sliding, but sure.
But it's true, though. Right? Yeah. You up the production value as you put more work into it.
Not really. Like I said before, there was some videos that were put out that, seemed forced, that seemed, just fake. It just seemed like we were chopping stuff up just to blow up for TikTok's sake or just to try to catch a viral video, which is never really my goal. My goal is to do what I love, showcase it. go show people different spots around Nova Scotia, like, and then, like, even just show people how easy it is to cook.
Well, that's the thing as well, too, man. Like, you don't necessarily have to be like a food enthusiast to enjoy those videos. Like, the places that you're going are like, and they're mostly all around the HRM as well.
It's all in Nova Scotia. Yeah.
Have you ever considered going down to Cape Breton to film a few?
I would love to.
Because you go to the Highlands, some spots like that, like near Shetty Camp. Like,
actually, this morning we were talking. So the person that Steven from Season Plate that we did the venison video with, we were talking this morning about submitting a full-length documentary to the Devour Film Festival. So we want to do like an outdoor cooking documentary and travel across Nova Scotia and submit that.
Oh, that would be
awesome. That's happening in October, I think it is.
So you're actually putting the plan together right now?
Yeah, we were talking this morning about it. Tomorrow, I think we're going to meet up and have there's like an outline of what we want the documentary to cover and how we want to present it.
Yeah, man. Well, that's interesting because I know, like, I was thinking that as well because I was going way back in your Instagram feed this morning. I watched that video where you sent in like the audition for what was the show? Top Chef.
Yeah. I was wearing this shirt, I think, actually. Yeah.
Well, you actually just filmed that.
And
this
I just
morning.
got a haircut that morning too.
Same shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it was funny too the use of the word detrimental. You're like, it's detrimental to work with the front house. Or
oh, that's not the first time I've misused words like that, man.
Well, I think what would you say that you were trying to say? Essential.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. How long ago was that? Like 5-6 years or something? You said it was quite a bit ago.
No, that was actually. You know what's funny? I walked out of my interview at Oxalis that morning.
Oh, so that was
went to the Carlton where I was working as sous chef there. Got the job as sous chef at Oxalis, walked out, went to the Carlton, filmed it in there and at the Carlton, and then like went on about my shift that day.
But all the signs were pointing to I want to leave. Just did a job interview. I want to get on this show. That's funny. But actually, when I was thinking about that, because I don't know what type of coverage exists out there. I'm sure there's quite a bit, like on the Food Network or whatever, of chefs and restaurants in Atlantic Canada. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't that be interesting to like showcase the beauty and the Highlands, the nature, the
that's it. And there's a lot of pages that are doing that.
Food.
There's like Life of Ash, I think is her page, and there's Get Outside Nova Scotia, Discover Halifax, and all these kind of pages. But I feel like a lot of them aren't as personal as like I like to involve people in my videos. You know, like I like to look at the camera and talk to people. I like to involve them. I love the B-roll clips. I love just the
you guys got the drone
fact that
out.
It's just like us people outside having fun, cooking food, and that's that, like in a beautiful location somewhere in Nova Scotia.
Exactly, man. Like you're going out and seeing the world, it's better than just kind of like being in a kitchen and like having the same old scenery. Like
or like super cinematic kind of like drone clips of like just the Highlands or just that or something. I want it to be more like immersive and more involved, like
artistic.
So what is the scene like as far as like other content creators in the same like demographic or same kind of field here in Halifax? Is there many other chefs that are doing stuff that is similar to you, or even just in behind the scenes like high quality productions, or is it kind of a few?
I'm not so sure. I feel like a lot of it is just in restaurant work.
Right.
No one's caught my eye. No one's even like sent me anything that is. Nobody's doing what I'm doing right now, as far as I know, in Nova Scotia anyway.
That's crazy.
Sure, there's a lot of people that are doing outdoor cooking videos and stuff like that, but nobody's doing it the way that I am, I don't think.
Because you're also, by being the only person that's doing that, you have like full like access to stuff that isn't even being touched. Like every location that you go to, no one is doing this type of video in that location.
I think that's how I caught Jordan's eye. Like Jordan's a full-time videographer and he's fucking amazing. And like for him to want to like be involved in what I was doing and just to like be a part of the team and was like, yo, like, can I help you? We got this type vibe. I'm like, yo, I'm obviously onto something here. And he's even said, I don't think anybody's really doing what you're doing right now. And we're also not boxing ourselves in as far as just only doing outdoor cooking videos.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the locations that you've been to so far for the videos?
So I love, one of my favorite spots is out Seaforth, like Lawrencetown way, kind of off like the Grand Canadian Trail or whatever it's called. My secret fishing spot is like a good go-to of mine. A lot of waterfalls. We have so many waterfalls around here. That's so easy. And we're also just trying to limit how far we go into to a certain extent, because now the more and more we kind of like get into it, I'm trying to like up what I'm trying to do. Like I'm really trying to showcase a little bit more skill outside. So what I'm carrying on my back has become a lot more heavy. I'm not
I noticed that, man. Like every video,
smokies and breaking off a stick. And
the bag is getting bigger.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So as far as like trekking goes, we're trying to limit ourselves. We're not trying to do a 2-hour hike with an 80-pound rock on my back, but. and he's got all his camera gear and stuff like that. But every day it's like he picks me up and I just think of a spot like right off the rip, because this is something I've been doing for a long time. And with my dogs, just like I literally just go on Google Maps and be like, oh, that looks cool, and like just find my way there. Like sometimes I'm like going through brush, just like breaking through trees to get to like this little rock on the
I know what you
side.
mean. Yeah, Nova Scotia's great for that, man. Like Nova Scotia's got like a crazy landscape. It's a bunch of different. It's everything. It's everything from like forests to like mountains, and in the summer I like to do like cliff jumping, all that.
Nice,
like,
same.
Off waterfalls, all that, and
Drysdale Falls is like one of my favorites.
Me too. That was one of the places I first went. And I actually like starting off with cliff diving. And all that, and
that one's serious.
It's serious, man. I started off with a tree right beside it, but like then I had to go up.
Man.
It's high, man. It's high. It's not fun. I've yet to do the actual waterfall on that one, but I've done like 3 pools. If you've seen that, 3 pools is great. It's right by Acadia, and that like stuff like that. It's great to like explore Nova Scotia.
Well, dude, if you guys did like a whole week, like camp throughout the Cabot Trail in Cape Breton, there would be there's unlimited spots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing I definitely want to start doing too, is like, doing more group trips, like involving more people, making it seem
We've done some collaborations, right, with other chefs out in the
exactly.
out in the wilderness.
Is there much in the opportunities for like collaborations in Nova Scotia? Have you found, or is that like
definitely hard? And it's I find it's weird how social media works. Nobody's gonna want to message you when you got 500 followers, but as soon as you got over 1,000, all of a sudden people want to do videos with you. Like,
you're fine.
Or they see the traction or the views and stuff that you're getting, then all of a sudden they want to do videos with you. But don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm reaching out to anybody, which I feel like maybe I should to a certain degree, but like I'm just doing my thing, and people are messaging me wanting to collab more and more now.
I feel that's the best way to go about it too, because that means people are wanting to build relationships with you strictly based off of the content that you're producing, off of you being yourself, off of you documenting stuff that you genuinely enjoy doing. It's not like there's some kind of like ulterior motive to like But talk a little bit about, like, I know that you said that you did an event a few nights ago, like you're doing like private chef events. How did you get into doing that? Like, what is do people just reach out to you? Like, is like the stuff on Instagram kind of like helping as well, like getting your name out there, and like a business owner is kind of like, oh, we have this private party.
That was kind of the underlining fact of starting the videos and creating like a bigger following, was that it can just lead easily into that kind of stuff. People want like, oh wow, that's Jeremey. Like, he has a huge following. Like, we want him to come to our house and cook for us.
Right.
Like, so that definitely was the underlining factor of building up this kind of stuff and upping the production value and putting more time into it, was because, like I said, I wanted to step away from the rat race in the restaurant scene and really try to do my own thing and create my own thing from people that generally want just me, like, not anything
Have you
else.
found that already?
Yeah, it seems to be working. Yeah.
How has the following picked up since you started putting out the higher quality videos as well? Because I was looking at your last few posts, like the one that you did, I think it was the one that you mentioned that you did like in January, has like almost like 400 likes, which I think is like the highest out of all of the ones that you posted so far. And it seems like it genuinely, like the traction and the engagement like is actually picking up per video at this point. It seemed like a lot of them were kind of around the same number, and then something happened. I don't know if it was just,
I feel like it's engagement
and
with your followers is really huge, honestly. That makes people want to share your stuff more. So someone shares my post, I share them sharing my post, and they see that. Then the next post, they they want to be featured on my story or something like that. That sounds kind of conceited, but you know what I mean. Engaging with your followers, I find, and just creating like a base good core of followers is what's gonna really heighten your engagement. Like,
it's way more beneficial to have 1,000 hyper engaged followers that might, even if half of them like and comment and watch every single post, then maybe 10,000 followers and maybe 100 of them give a shit about what you do.
Yeah, exactly. So the production has definitely helped. I hit a big boost in followers, just like sometimes I'll just shamelessly plug on like random comment sections. Like you'll be like
no
a
shame
random
in that.
video,
No
and
shame.
I'll be like, oh fuck this video, go watch my outdoor cooking videos instead.
Might as well.
And then it gets like 500 likes, and everyone's like, W comment, W plug, blah blah blah. I get like 300 followers off.
No way.
Of it.
300.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of the most successful?
So it was one, and it was like an example of like
this
new like TikTok age, and when like it was basically a guy looking away from a girl that was like bending handing down. And it was like, this is how like and the gyms are now with these
I've
girls.
seen that,
and
taking videos and then.
And I was
freaking
like, well, fuck that. Why don't you just watch my cooking videos instead? And it got like 600 likes.
Unrelated to the,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the video as well. It's like
Exactly,
girls
yeah.
in the gym that are taking videos,
Yeah, and I
getting
was
mad
just
at
like-
dudes that are like staring in the background
Yeah,
or not.
exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, fuck
yeah.
that. Watch my videos instead.
That guerrilla marketing is almost like the way to do things nowadays.
Yeah.
Like you have to put yourself out there. You have like other people. The comment section's there for
Yeah,
a reason, right?
yeah.
People are always going to look through that comment section to see
Yeah,
what's going
exactly.
on.
You know, there's a couple of haters, so I just roasted them, and then like a couple people were like, "Man, you roasted that guy." Followed.
It shows
goes
off
a
your
long way.
personality
Yeah.
too.
Exactly.
And it doesn't take much effort to actually sit down there and do it because you said like you know it's a shameless plug. Like
Yeah.
you don't lose anything
Yeah,
if
yeah.
nobody follows you.
Yeah.
You only have something to gain. Like if you
Yeah.
if you're witty with it too, like
Yeah.
it really isn't that hard because most of the comments on most posts are like all the same.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Like,
And
Like,
that's
this
what
one
was
guy,
like-
he was like, nobody asked, and I was like, well, your sister asked me for hollandaise this morning, and everybody like freaked out. And like that was like the biggest like boost in followers I ever got. I got like 200 followers off that one
On
shitty
Instagram?
comment. Like, yeah.
That's the way to do it, though, man. Like you see, like some companies are even doing it now.
Yeah.
Like Wendy's on Twitter. Like
Yeah,
Wendy's
yeah.
when they kind of first started the wave of like companies doing that, like
Right,
kind
yeah.
of being savage
yeah,
online.
just
and-
hire like a hip young
Exactly.
teenager to run.
It's the way to do it, though, man. Like if you can get people to laugh, then they're gonna love what you're doing. Like especially like a name like Jeremey Jeremy. Like,
Yeah, where does that? Are you? Do you got like a French background? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
What's going on with the?
Yeah,
Jim
I'm always in French. You know, being Lebanese, like that's the second language spoken in Lebanon is French.
really?
So, I grew up all through grade school taking French immersion. It's not like I never retained much of it now. But
I took French core in junior high, and it was like
Right.
social studies, health, and French through grade 7 to 9.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't know. Like I don't
if you're
ever
not
have.
speaking it every day, then like,
You lose
or
it.
here and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like one day I woke up and I was just like thought something in French in my head, and it had been like 2 years out of high school, and I was like,
Remember those
"Holy
French
shit, I
thoughts?
can speak French!" Like I forgot.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I wish I want to speak another.
Your last name
language,
is
man.
Hewitt.
Yeah,
You're
my
the-
last
you're
name
French
is
as
Hewitt.
well.
I have a
gotta
French
name your
background
cousins.
through my father. Yeah, man, like
Yeah.
kind of look alike. But yeah, no, like I have a bit of a French background. Like my father's French, but I didn't learn a whole lot of French. Growing up, I took French class in elementary, but that did like nothing for me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I forgot all that. I barely I just kind of floated through that. And yeah, no, I tried the Duolingo. All the boys are on Duolingo.
Oh, dude, I got
now.
like a 240-day Spanish streak on Duolingo, bro.
Yeah.
My-
I wish.
Yeah?
I wish. Yeah, I did it for like a week and I stopped.
Yeah.
It's just getting that consistent schedule of it down. Like
That's
if you
it,
can
yeah.
get that consistent schedule of learning a language, it's great, especially
Right.
while you're young. It's,
Yeah, man. Do you eventually want to open up your own restaurant?
Yeah. I do.
Topic
I do. Yeah. It's gonna
And what is
happen.
the goal?
I do. I definitely feel like it's gonna happen soon in the next couple of years. I think.
You
for
think?
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's already been talks. Me and my cousin are talking about doing something in the next couple of years. He's got a building going up on Gottingen, and he's gonna have 4 retail spaces at the bottom, and we're talking about doing something.
Can we rent an office space so we can do the podcast in there?
You can do the podcast at the restaurant. That's kind of the idea. We've already been talking about doing kind of like a daytime, nighttime thing, like
Yeah.
where it changes completely. But I don't know, it's 2 years from now, but 2 years is not enough time to really plan something. And again, doing this private chef stuff, it's all in the works.
2 years isn't enough time to plan something?
To plan a restaurant, like to kind of enough time to like really be happy about it, you know? Like I want,
Right.
I don't even know. I still haven't even really thought what style of restaurant I want to do. What style of cuisine do I want to do? Who's my demographic? Who do I want to target towards? How many seats do I want to have?
Sounds like our entrepreneurship class.
Like,
We have an entrepreneurship class this semester. And that was like
Yeah.
everything.
yeah,
It's
but-
required us to think much more about this podcast.
Yeah.
Than
Oh,
we
yeah.
probably
And then,
would
you know,
otherwise.
even like designing the restaurant, acquiring all the equipment, acquiring staff, all that kind of stuff takes
Yeah.
a long time.
And when you say like you want to do like private chef stuff, like expand more on
Well,
that.
he
Like,
is
are you
right
talking-
now.
Well, okay, yeah. But,
I think that's just kind of the avenue I want to go right now because I won't have time otherwise. If I'm working, 60 hours, 70 hours a week for somebody else, if I can work part-time at a restaurant here and there and also doing my private chef stuff, which is also like more beneficial to me than anything else because it's getting my name out there, then that'll just kind of aid into the transition of opening up a restaurant of mine because I'll already have a good enough following that believes and likes my food.
yeah.
get a name out there.
Yeah.
It gives you such an advantage just from taking the effort to go out there and plan out and produce and release your own content
Yeah.
because it's like, you're competing against people that just aren't doing that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if you build up your name, like you open open up a restaurant, you have maybe
Yeah.
10,000 followers at that point.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
going to be lined up around the block to want
Exactly.
to,
Yeah.
try out some of the stuff that they've seen you cook out in the woods or anything
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because trying to climb the ranks through the restaurants, like if you were to do it traditionally, like that takes forever and so much sacrifice. That
And I
takes
hear
it takes your whole life away.
I hear it's really competitive too. Like,
Yeah,
it's very,
that's
like,
it. And that's not
at
really
each
going to
other's
happen here.
necks.
You'd have to move abroad somewheres. I always had envisioned, like, I wanted to be the 3 Michelin star. I wanted to, like, be the top dog in that way. But there's other avenues and the ways to take that route now, like, or other routes to get there. Like,
can you expand more on, like, the restaurant industry, like what you've experienced? When you say like the rat race with the restaurant industry, expand more on like what you mean with that. Like, I hear it is brutal. I hear it's really competitive, but what's kind of like led you? What was the deciding factor for you to be like, okay, no, I need to do my own thing. I need to kind of get out of that and do my own thing. Like,
it's really, again, a lot of it is just sacrifice. And for a long period of time, I was okay with the sacrifice because that's just kind of what you're told that you need to do to get where you want to be. If you want to be a great chef, you need to sacrifice everything. You need to miss birthdays. You need to miss funerals. You need to miss weddings. You can't go hang out with your buddies. You need to be there 7-8 days a week. And a lot of that, which I found myself believing in, and this is the only way to be a great chef, is to put in the hours, is to sacrifice, is to do all that. Fuck that.
It was like, work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Like,
for somebody else,
Yeah.
none of it actually ended up benefiting for me. When you get stuck somewhere in a position, and I mean, here in Halifax, trying to climb the ranks here is a little tougher, and it's not to say that I couldn't move away and do that, but then again, what? I'm leaving everything behind. And then I'm living in some small little bungalow in London, like working my ass off fucking every day of the week, getting fucking yelled at, screamed at, pans thrown at me, like cuts, burns.
Did you experience any of that here working in kitchens? Like a lot of very aggressive work environments that would lack respect. And
of course. And
Yeah.
again, and that's sort of, you're finding a shift in the industry as well, because a lot of chefs are trying to stray away from that. Chefs that I've kind of grown up with and like that have taught me, most of them are trying to avoid that because that's what they've experienced. A lot harder than I can say I have, probably.
Yeah.
So,
Would you say that ever since the pandemic, the food industry has been kind of like in the midst of like a workers' revolution in a sense, where like people are kind of having more leverage than they previously did? Like, you read about that a lot, like restaurants that are kind of like lacking a certain number of employees that they'd like to have, and trying to like figure out how to make more incentives to hire servers, cooks.
Well, that's it. And that's just exactly it. Yeah, there's a huge shortage of staff.
Yeah,
and a lot of people have had to make adjustments, not doing lunch anymore. Opening later in the day. Who wants to work like that anymore for a little pay? It's not worth it. Like,
right. And it's so interesting too, man. Especially just with like when you think about tipping, it's like a lot of restaurants, I would imagine, they pay their staff the bare minimum and just kind of rely on the customer to make up for that difference by having them tip or whatever. But like especially with the economy right now and the amount of money that people like the lack of money people have to kind of throw around, maybe they're probably not tipping as much as well, right? So it's I mean, and then also like what, like, have you seen like firsthand like the food prices, for example, like how like in behind the scenes at a restaurant, how does that affect prices?
It's impossible to try to maintain any price and pay your employees a decent wage. Like, how are we supposed to? Like it's scary. It's getting scary out there. Like, I even just, like when I do my private chef events, I go around and do my own grocery shopping, and I find myself just going through the aisles. You can hear it echoing through any Sobeys or Superstore right now. Everybody's cursing at fucking the salad in their hand.
You did a story
$9.
I did a story on lettuce in the fall, bro.
The lettuce price is going through the roof. Mitchell did a story on that back in the fall for WTV.
It's definitely getting tough, and like you said, in an industry that the employees are now demanding more respect and more wage. When it's almost damn near impossible to try to balance.
To please everybody and also keep your business running and profitable.
Well, yeah, because I mean, people learn that they can do other jobs and get paid more and treated fairly.
Which is unfortunate, especially if they enjoy working in that environment.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that I said earlier too, is that there's so far and few people that actually enjoy cooking and that are hired as just cooks. A lot of people just do the job for a job. So when they found out they can, like when restaurants shut down, they had to find other work, or they were getting severance or whatever else. It was just, why would I go back to that?
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit as well? Like during when the pandemic shut down, you know, all these small businesses having to resort to just specifically takeout. You know, there's no dining in, you know, and then it kind of like opens back up and then it closes back down. And then people just didn't really have much job stability. Like for yourself during that time, where were you at? What did you have to resort to doing? Did it affect you all that much?
I was in Pictou at the NSCC in Pictou finishing up my third block. And when we got kicked out right before I actually got to do my practical exam, but it was really, I don't know, it really showed the resilience of restaurants and how like chefs are really like, and cooks alone are like, you know, we're really good at adapting and really good at, you know, working on the fly. We, you know, if something comes up, like in the middle of a service, we don't have this, we need to make it happen. Like the order's already in.
Fly through it. Fly through it.
Yeah. So I guess really, I don't know, it was tough. A lot of people, it affected a lot of people differently. A lot of people reacted differently. A lot of people had a little bit more stability to like allow them to stay open a little bit longer than others. But some places, you know, relied on the community, which I found here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The local support was huge during that time and is still kind of continued on now that people are more willing to support local than ever, which is amazing to see.
And how did the whole like kind of drop in the restaurants and everything during COVID, how did that influence the worker? And how did you find like, what was the stress levels like during that time as a chef?
It was okay. So, I mean, I can't like, I was pretty comfortable, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I was in a salary position and the owner of the restaurant paid my salary the entire time. So
Wow.
I didn't really feel the full blunt of it for sure, but I can only imagine how, I mean, I guess I would understand if I wasn't in that position, why people wouldn't want to come back.
Did you notice anyone else in kind of around the restaurant scene that you know kind of suffering from that?
Yeah, I mean, just laying off staff and then trying to hire them back now is like, or trying to hire any staff back. Is the hugest suffering that I'm seeing, like all throughout any kind of restaurants.
Oh, big time, big time. You know, and it's good that things are kind of like back on the rise now after.
Yeah,
like,
things been.
Things been back on the rise. Like it's nice to kind of be living back to the normal life, but I think that kind of like threat of COVID still lives in everyone's head.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah,
that,
like
feeling of like
PTSD from it.
Exactly. Everyone's got that feeling like, what if it comes back? You know,
I don't
job
feel like
security
they could get through, you know, mandating anything anymore. I think it got to a point where, I mean, there's nothing that really backs that even as an effective.
Yeah.
I don't really think it would get to that
Closed,
point.
right? A Julep too, or something. A couple restaurants in Halifax.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask as well. Like, how many restaurants have you seen
because
shut down?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, what happened is like I think there was backed up on rent or something weird happened with all these kind of like bursaries and things that were going on for restaurants to try to keep them open. Like, you know, they were letting them get away with rent or something. I don't really know how I was going down because I never owned or operated anything at the time or tried to really pay any mind to it. But then basically what had happened is they got a lot of back due rent and shut them down.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
How deep are we right now in the pod? I never know what time it is.
Yeah.
When we're
Yeah,
doing
me
this.
neither.
Like,
We're like almost 45 minutes in.
45 minutes. Okay, we can go for a
Yeah.
little bit longer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on YouTube?
So no, not yet.
No.
But I created a page. I just haven't posted to it yet.
Did you get like some you got some content. You can
Yeah.
just dump it all there at once.
It's
I can see you
something
doing
like-
like long form content, especially like, you know, like even like 15-20 minute cooking videos or segments, stuff like that, like even based off some of the stuff you've
or
done
even
on
the
social
YouTube
media.
shorts and
Yeah,
stuff like
yes.
that. Like,
YouTube
we
shorts
have a
are
lot of
blowing
like
up.
funny B-roll and stuff like that. Like Jordan still has it all cataloged, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
could go through it together. I think it needs to be in a certain format. I think maybe to go on YouTube, or no, not at all, or like no. That's
Not that
YouTube's
I'm experienced.
fairly
YouTube's
user-friendly.
pretty
Yeah.
friendly when it comes to most things, and
Right.
like I'm sure Jordan exports and stuff.
yeah,
It's pretty
yeah. He
friendly
knows
to
what
most
he's
things
doing.
too,
Yeah.
right? Like Jordan's
we've
pretty
talked
talented
about
guy.
it a little bit, but we haven't really kind of expanded on it. I mean, he just had a second child, so things have been on pause the last like month or so. But it's really starting to ramp up here now.
Have you ever kind of thought about maybe picking up a camera and doing like some kind of solo content as well?
I would love to. I
Yeah.
would love to just kind of learn that side of things, and you know, it's always good to, I mean, like have diverse skills.
Now's the best time ever, I'd say, to like get into like videography and editing,
Yeah.
especially like TikTok, YouTube.
Well,
all
the thing
that
is
blowing
too,
up.
man. Like you could take videos on your phone.
Yeah,
dude.
Edit them on your phone and then
Yeah.
upload them to YouTube
Yeah.
from your phone.
Some of
Yeah,
the
like-
examples Pat's even showed us with like the stuff you can do just there's videographers who strictly work off their phone, have like maybe a phone gimbal. I have one myself.
A lot of stuff you see in the news shot on phones as well.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So like, what you talked about, like planning to do the documentary in the fall. Like, what do you have? Do you have anything coming up next, like in the near future, the next couple months? That's worth sharing right now.
We're just gonna start trying to roll out some more of the interview style videos. We want to definitely what? Oh yeah, get it up there. Yeah, sweet.
I don't know what was going on for a sec, bro. Something just fell off.
There we go.
Cool. And resume.
Yeah. Like I said, we kind of want to continue with the interview series. I feel like it kind of received really well. It was me out of my element. Again, it's me it's us not boxing ourselves into one style of video, which is like, it's huge really, because then it kind of opens up an avenue for people that want to give us product to showcase, or that want us to do any kind of like monetized content for them, which is kind of what we really are. Like our first goal is to monetize the account. Like, and I say our account because Jordan has helped me so much doing this. It's not possible without him and his vision, and like, just how he's so laser focused, and I'm like, let's go outside and cook.
I mean, you need to have a balance, right? You need to have someone that is like kind of pushing the content forward and thinking of some of the creative ideas, and then also someone that's make sure everything kind of the glue to keep everything together.
We work really well together. Like, shout out Backpack Audio Video, man. He's man. That's my guy.
And it's good. You kind of chose a genre that you can like. You chose your niche, but that niche has like so much, like so many broad opportunities. You can go like on a boat, cooking fish on a boat or something like that. In the sea,
the whole outdoors.
You can travel. You have all the planet Earth to like do your videos.
You go to Mars too.
Exactly. Like, it's great, man. It's great.
What advice do you have to other like aspiring content creators, if you could?
Especially in the culinary kind of.
Or just in general. Anyone that wants to pick up, like, they got an idea, they want to get started. What is some advice that, like, maybe even looking back, you would have gave to yourself at the beginning?
Yeah, it's really that kind of blip in content that I had that I didn't like, and I found it because we were creating it for somebody, like we were creating it for the people, we weren't creating it for ourselves, and that's the biggest thing, is create content for yourself. At that point, when you start creating it for other people, then it becomes more commerce than anything, like it lessens the value of the art. And that's really what it is at the end of the day, is we're trying to create an art form for people and express who we are in a way that we enjoy. Mm-hmm. We are happy with it. We're happy with the content at the end of the day. We're not worried about the likes. We're not worried about the views or anything else like that. Really, that's
genuinely, you're not thinking about that at all.
I try not to, and that's kind of where I started. That's where I lost focus.
Yeah,
I started losing focus, and then was doing things that I felt were gimmicky that you might not see because it was edited and chopped up a certain way, but I knew it was, and I felt unhappy with it. So why would I continue doing it that way? I'm gonna do it the way that I like to do it. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna cook the food that I love. I'm gonna trust Jordan to chop it up the way that he does, because he's a fucking wizard with the shit. And like, just that. If the people receive it well, fine. If not, it's just one chapter in my fucking huge book that I'm writing.
Right.
Like, are you hoping that's going to be behind me now? I have a catalog of videos. Like, my newest video is not going to be better than my old. My older video is not going to be better than my new.
What do you, for future endeavors, like, what are you hoping to pull off with your career? Like, especially in that kind of content creation.
Man, I would love like a Fuck That's Delicious type show or something. Like some Matty Matheson, like Action Bronson type.
He's Matty Matheson? Is he from Newfoundland?
The PI or something like that, or something. Yeah, he's from around here.
Jerry looks like he has some information. He knows.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's from the Maritimes, but I know that he loves the Maritimes.
Right.
That might be it. Yeah.
He loves
Canadian, though, for sure. Yeah.
Are you hoping to get some sponsors like ExpressVPN, Blue Chew, Athletic Greens,
Red Shadow?
Cool. Maybe cater a little more to some like those cheap fake Japanese knives they promote, or whatever, or something like that.
We want to get some sponsors too, man.
Yeah.
One cool knife brand I've seen on Instagram does a bunch of those kind of outdoorsy vibes. Coolina.
Yeah. Well, we've already done stuff for like breweries. Like we've done a video for Two Crows already. We've done like you know, yeah, we've take like breweries and any kind of like local like shops or anything like that into account. Like,
Would you
can
consider
imagine.
yourself, like, when you're interviewing these chefs, would you classify yourself as someone that's falling under the category as like food journalist?
I don't know. That's weird too, because that was the first time I've ever done anything like
Yeah.
that, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, because that was kind of like my thing, going from like being an
yeah.
artist and then
Yeah,
doing
I
a
was gonna ask
podcast
you
like
that.
2 years ago
Yeah.
before I got into this program.
Yeah.
Now I've like kind of like accepted that that's the new role that I'm playing. But like
Yeah.
starting out, because I've always listened to podcasts and been really kind of fascinated by the art of like someone just, you know, being focused enough to
Right.
talk for 3 hours and get
Yeah.
a good product out of it.
Yeah.
You know, when you finally start doing it and you go from like kind of being the person that's getting interviewed to like doing the interview
Right.
for a second, you're like, can I do this? But
Yeah.
then you kind of, you're like, if you're a good talker,
Yeah.
you're genuinely
So
interested.
do you find
get
that your
good at it.
passion changed at any point for that kind of stuff, like from the music into like you said, the one side to the other?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I probably like denied it for like the first
Right,
year.
yeah.
Like I'm in a 2-year program
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
almost done. But like the first year, I was kind of always like, people would be like, "Oh, when are you dropping the next song?" I'm like,
Right, yeah.
"Soon, man." But like I wasn't really
Yeah.
like, I still probably will put out new music.
why not? Have fun with
eventually? But I've just been so busy with this kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
that it's kind of definitely taken over.
Yeah.
But you know,
so
it's just
somebody whose passion has transitioned like that. Like, do you find that like you really just need to trust your gut, trust that like transition and passion? Like, do you feel like you lost a little bit of passion for music and then gained it here for the journalism side of things?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think that like because people would also say like, oh, you'd be good like a music journalist, but I have like no. I will talk to artists,
Yeah.
but like I'm not because I feel like music took up so much of my life for
Yeah.
so long that if I'm gonna get into something like this, I'm kind of almost more interested to speak and cover stuff that I'm
Right.
not as familiar with, because
Yeah.
then I'm like expanding
Yeah.
my understanding of
Yeah.
something, like whether it's like politics or it's like, you know, even sports or like stuff like what you're doing. Like,
That's it.
you know, I'm learning more, but. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I would love to speak to a lot of artists and stuff because I understand the process and the craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's kind of like a transition of passion. Like
Yeah.
I feel like my passion always was kind of just like creating stuff.
Right, yeah.
And music was the easiest way for
Right.
so long. And now it's like, oh, this is cool, but like
That's sick.
it all
yeah.
fulfills like the same part of your brain. I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah,
It's
You
kind
know?
of weird
Yeah.
how you like fall into things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the way we all kind of like fell into the course together.
Yeah.
Like I took the course on a whim, not knowing
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what at all I wanted to do. My mom
This man's fresh out of high school.
fresh out of high
He's a
school, not an
child.
idea like
He's a
what I
go-getter.
wanted to do. My mom threw this idea of the course at me.
Yeah.
and
Chucked
I-
it at you.
Yeah, shit, bro, like full on football through Tom Brady. But yeah, no. Then I'm like looked into it, tried it out, and you know, it's been probably like, and now it's like my biggest passion, like
Yeah.
videography, working podcasting, videography. I'm loving it. Like,
Yeah.
it's good because like I always knew I wanted to be like creative in a way,
Mhm.
you know, and I'm sure you felt that as well.
Oh,
Like,
totally. Yeah.
wanting-
Food is fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about being a chef for a while because
Mhm.
of that creative thing, but like then
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, cooking is not really cut out for me. I'm not that guy. But at the same time, like I knew there was gonna be some kind of creative turn in my life.
Yeah.
You're young, man. You might be the next Jim Appel Jeremy.
Exactly, man. Jim Appel Jesse, bro.
Everyone
go.
used to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one M.
What was it like growing up in Cole Harbor?
Oh,
You're from
man.
Cole. He's from Cole. Yeah,
I'm from
okay.
Coal Harbor, yeah.
All right.
I mean, like I went
coffee,
to
better
French school like outside of the city, so all my friends started smoking cigarettes at grade 6, so I kind of stopped hanging out with them.
Well, you would think that you would be into it because you're French.
Yeah, but
French?
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird how the perception of Coal Harbor is. I feel like I feel like it's a lot of surrounding places and people that kind of give it the negative.
But like so many good
perception of
names
it.
come out of Cole Harbor.
It's what's right.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, so many
Appel
good
Jeremy,
names,
Jerry
like-
B.
Yeah, you got Jerry B,
Yeah.
Jim and Pella Jeremy.
Yeah.
We got like Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon,
Yeah,
like, everyone like that.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like there definitely needs to be more of a sense of community in Coal Harbor for sure. Like for sure.
Elaborate on that real quick.
Like I feel like everybody just already has this negative stigma of what it is, and everybody just kind of accepts it or like tries to live outside of it. So one thing that I thought of last summer before, like, because I started working at the restaurant at the time, I was putting in 60, 70 hours a week, and I have all these ideas all the time. Like, I want to host like food eating competitions and stuff like that, but throwing like block parties, like really trying to like, I don't know, bring my community together, like have the people in the community realize that not everybody around is like out there to steal the change from your car.
Yeah.
Or, try to negate that a little bit, try to make them feel like they're welcome in the city. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, like, And Dartmouth especially gets a bad rap. Like,
Yeah, like Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, you always hear about the bad things. People are always
Yeah.
focusing on just the bad things that are
The
going
dark
on. But there's
side,
so
yeah.
much community already in Cole Harbour that
Yeah.
not focused on. There's so many like small family-run businesses, like
Exactly.
restaurants, cafes,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
There's,
why
like,
not highlight that? you know?
Exactly. Bring those people together and like bring like a Cole Harbour community connection almost to that.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean, like I
mean?
would love to throw a block party, get some like bouncy castles and stuff, whip up some hot dogs.
You heard it here first, folks.
You know,
Rating day.
Cole Harbour block party. I'll be there. I'll be there,
Dude, yeah, when we graduate, man, we'll get
Yeah,
a
you
block
know,
party in
something
Cole
like
Harbour.
that. Like I said, a food
You guys
eating
can host
competition
it.
would be cool too. Like, you know, what if we get like what's like Alexander's Pizza and we have like a pizza eating competition or something?
How many slices do you think you can down?
See, I ask this all the time. Like, I ask this to people all the time, not just pizza specifically, but anything I'm making. I'm like, how much of this do you think you can eat? Like, if you had to, you had a 5-minute timer. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like I could put back 4, and then I'd probably start to feel sick.
Yeah.
Oh, really? No way. My roommate Zach, he's not here right now, but like 3 weeks ago, he like ordered a large pizza and he ate the whole thing. And I was like, bro, are you okay? Like, are you gonna be good? He's like, oh man, like that's nothing. Like I'm fine. I don't do it all the time, but I don't feel like he was
Honestly,
proud.
You did a show on Argyle one time. I remember that's when I was working at the Carlton.
I remember this.
Yeah, and that kind of gave me the inspiration for the idea because Antojo's is right there. What if we kind of collaborated and that's like, you know how the street party's on Argyle,
Right.
but we just had a fucking taco eating competition going on at the same
great,
time.
man.
Like, I'm so happy that I can inspire a taco.
Antonio's is great too. I have a couple buddies that work there. It's
Yeah.
oh man, it's a good time.
Yeah. So how many of those like little corn tortilla tacos do you think you guys could eat? Like, say we got like 10 minutes and you just gotta like smack them back.
Oh, dude, I'm saying
12? Is that ambitious to say that?
12 I think.
That's-
Like,
oh yeah, I'm not even. I'm saying like I'm
more?
I could probably hit a
I
good
didn't say that.
15.
Yeah.
I could probably hit a good
Yeah.
15. Little
Yeah.
2 bites each.
A good
Yeah.
15.
You
Yeah,
see the guy
dude.
next to you is like double fisting them and
Yeah,
like kind of
dude.
try to pick up the pace.
Kai Brady's had some pretty good tacos too.
Did
but,
they? Yeah. Yeah.
Although you know they're kind of the service there has
Yeah.
sometimes have been
Yeah,
kinda bad.
yeah.
And but at the same time, you know, like the tacos there, I'll still order off
Yeah,
Uber Eats.
yeah,
Like
why
that's the
not?
way to go. Man.
Yeah.
The street tacos are great. Yeah, no, that's always kind of been like my thing. Is Mexican food that like spicy tacos,
too.
burritos, burrito bowls,
Yeah,
chimichangas,
Oh yeah,
stuff
me
like
too,
that.
big time.
Love it.
Before
Love
we
it.
wrap it up, like what are some other interesting facts about you? What else are you good at?
Yeah, tell us about it.
I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, so much of my time has been focused on cooking, and it's nice now to kind of have a relaxed thought of it. You know, like not so hyper focused on trying to be the best and just trying to be the best version of me. So I'm having more time. Excuse me.
quote.
It's gonna pop up on our Instagram. Jeremy.
Yeah, just to focus on hobbies, you know, and kind of putting cooking in that category as a hobby. And you know, like I really enjoy snowboarding. I haven't been yet this year, which kind of kills me, but snowboarding is one of my favorite things. That's one thing that I wish I could have pursued a lot more. Like I felt like I could have been really good at snowboarding if I went more, like, you know. And it's not to say that I still can't, but
What's your best trick?
my best trick? Oh, man, I don't know. I haven't been in, like, last year I only went once too. Like it's kind of like fell off quite a bit.
Oh, man.
Put on a couple of chef pounds, but
Oh, dude, that don't matter though. That don't matter. It's extra speed down the hill, man. Extra speed down the hill. That's gas.
yeah.
No, but yeah, no. I feel you. There's a couple career paths like I feel I could have pursued, but
Yeah.
you seem like you're in the right one, man. Like
Yeah.
the culinary and creative, like videography.
It's the one I definitely feel passionate. It's one I feel comfortable in. You know, I question it all the time, as I'm sure anybody does with their profession at certain points. There's always highs and lows, but I don't know. I can't really see myself doing anything else at this point. But that's another thing is like, you know, when I was first working in restaurants feeling that way, it was terrifying because I was like, well, what else am I going to do? What other ways can I cook and still be involved in the industry other than just being a chef in a restaurant? And now I'm starting to find that, and it's just kind of really like, now I can, like, you know, breathe a little bit. I'm starting to figure it out, but it's still not to say that I shouldn't have that like fire lit under my ass, because it can all go away any day. I can still not get inquiries for private chef gigs. You know, I might lose a part-time job here or there, or the videos might not be pumping out as well as I want them to be. And I guess it was really stepping away from the stability of having that 9 to 5 at a restaurant and kind of being more of a freelance chef now.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the crazy thing about like about life now that I'm realizing is like you aren't really stuck in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It's more so you just kind of like taking the risk and taking
that's
the jump.
it. Yeah.
You know, getting out of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Take the jump.
Yeah.
Of what,
And I was in that for 10 years,
Yeah.
you know, before I took the leap.
I think the main takeaway is, you know, to keep focus. What did you just say? Focus on your instead of focusing on your profession, you're focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what it
something
was?
like that. Yeah.
We'll have to
Trying
run
to
that
be the
back.
best. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's the title of the episode.
Quote
Yeah.
that on Instagram.
All right, man. Yeah, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Jeremey on Instagram. And that's basically it. Yeah. We're still working on the YouTube. Stay
You
tuned.
can find them in the woods.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
And what's cooking a
Yeah,
steak.
you know what's funny? Actually, one time I was cooking in the woods somewhere, and I seen this guy kind of like creeping through the brush, and I was like, "Fuck, what's this guy looking at?" And then he goes, "Jeremy?" I was like, "No way."
That's it. Wrap it right there. That is Propel Jeremy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Find
man.
Jeremy in the woods, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
great. That was
Awesome,
great.
boys.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me, man.
Thank you
Thanks
for
having me.
joining
Yeah,
us.
this is
Bro,
the
that's been a
best.
pleasure.
Yeah.